Peace, y'all. Before we get started, I felt compelled to remind everyone to stay safe and stay abreast of all the atrocities happening around the world. The people of Palestine, Tigray, Congo, Sudan, Haiti, and countless other territories are currently fighting for their rights and their lives. And if you're choosing to take action, please take every precaution you can. Stay hydrated, stay in groups, cover your face, and please, more than anything, don't lose hope. I've been leaving links to organizations and resources at the bottom of every episode description for a good minute, so please go check those out for places to donate and to find ways to take action today. We're not free until all oppressed people in the States and abroad are free. Much love, stay strong, and stay dangerous. What's good, y'all? My name is Dylan Green, and this is Real Notes, a space dedicated to blurring the cultural and artistic lines between rap and film. I'm here to chop it up with everyone from rappers and producers to journalists and video directors about their relationship to movies and how, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is California journalist and founder of Lucky 7 magazine, Nia Coats. We spoke about The Iron Claw, I Saw the TV Glow, the Friday series, the Princess Diaries, being from the East Coast and watching West Coast movies, moving from starting her own blog to starting Lucky 7 magazine, the stories behind her favorite articles and covers, the future of music journalism, and the creative process behind bringing a magazine to life. Come fuck with us. I've never been to New Orleans. I really want to go. I want etouffee. I want beignets. I want to run into currency.
Didn't even get any of those.
Damn, really?
I had a po' boy. Had a crab po' boy.
Oh, how was that?
It was good. It was from this place called Zimmer's. I don't know where it's at, but if you do go, they got like a whole bunch of po' boys. They got boudin balls. They got a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep that in mind. There's a spot near my crib that they have the most delicious shrimp po' boy I've ever had. But I've also, I've never been to New Orleans, never had like a real one. But like, I love a po' boy. There's places up north that make decent ones. So yeah, there's cool things happening in the future, and I want to use those as opportunities to travel to some places I haven't been. New Orleans is definitely one of them. So
where else do you want to
go? Damn, I want to go to Japan. I want to go to the UK. I want to go to when I was younger, when I was like 12 or 13, I went to Germany to go visit a friend who moved out there because his family, his mom's from either Germany or Austria. I can't remember which one, but like they moved back out there when I was younger, and we went out there for like I think it might have been like it was like my 13th birthday, and they were like, "Yeah, let's just go see your friend." And I was like, "Cool, yeah, shout out to Alex. He's probably not listening. Shout out to Alex. Peace to Alex. Peace to the Westons. But yeah, no, like I want to go back to Germany. I want to go to Japan. I would love to go to Brazil.
I've been thinking about Brazil a lot too. I've been like listening to like old ballet funk.
Yeah, man.
Not that I know what they're saying, but like it made me think about how like so many like bass heavy music genres are related, whether we know it or not.
Yeah, not like between ballet funk and like everything happening with like reggae and like sound clashes over in Jamaica. Like it's like, and then like that all feeds into rap. So yeah, I definitely think about that a lot too. I also really want to go to Kenya because my middle name, I was named after the Maasai tribe.
Oh,
and
wow.
My father really like instilled in me like, this is the Maasai tribe, this is what they're about, and like The Lion King was the first movie I ever saw as a kid, and most of that takes place in Kenya.
Right.
So like I have like a familial, and I'm sitting on this cat's tail. Wow. I have a lot of like personal, I guess, connections to Kenya. Then I've never been, so I just want to make. I just want to make it happen. So
yeah,
there's other places, but those are like the 4 or 5 that pop into my head.
Yeah. My name's Swahili, but my daddy just saw Friday in '95, and he was like, "When I have a daughter, I'm gonna name her Nia because Nia Long is so fine." That's where I got it from.
That's fire, honestly. That I mean, like being named after a character from Friday is like. Have you been in California your whole life?
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay.
I'm like third generation San Franciscan.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so no, y'all been out there, but like you you being named after Nia Long in Friday specifically is like the most California thing I've ever heard in my life. So that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, I wish there was a better story.
Nah, yeah, nah, I get it, but either way, like that's just see now I feel bad for thinking it's funny.
No, it is funny. I tell people that and be like, "What? Wow," or they just laugh.
Damn. Well, shit. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to Real Notes. It's a what's today? Monday? Yeah, yeah. No, it's the start of the week. It's a Monday. It's like it's it's like summer cold outside, so it's like low 70s, high 60s. Feeling good, feeling fine. I'm full of protein waffles and ready to go. My name's Dylan Green, CineMasai. Got a lot of names, do a lot of shit outside, inside, all sides, everywhere. And I'm with somebody else who has been in what now, 3 states over the course of the last like 4 or 5 days, probably even
Yeah,
more than 3 states.
yeah.
Like who's also moving and shaking in all sorts of crazy ways. I forget exactly when I was first put on to her work, but once I was and I saw that, the magazine was a thing, I was like, oh, like this is just amazing, just like super duper dope. Been very supportive, and it's just been nice to build and connect and to have Nia Coats here, editor in chief of Lucky Seven magazine. Fucking freelance writer, Cali's finest, all sorts of shit. Nia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Like,
you for having me. I know I've been listening to the show for like I want to say like a couple years now.
god damn.
Yeah. And I always wanted to do it. I think about the question a lot, like what movie did you watch? I'm asking the question before you ask it.
That's cool.
What movie did you what did you watch recently that like you had a strong thought about?
Yeah.
And I haven't watched a new movie to answer this question, but I'll let you answer it.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, yeah, nah. Like, what? So like, what was the last? Even if it wasn't recent, like, what's the last thing you can remember that you watched that you had a strong opinion about? Because yeah.
Iron Claw. I
Okay.
I saw
Tell me how you
everybody
feel.
talk about it, and I was like, I'm gonna let me figure out, let me see. And then it was finally on HBO Max, and I watched it, and I saw it for like 20 minutes after, because I come from a really big family, and my granny had 8 kids, and it was 4 boys and 4 girls, and my dad is the oldest boy, and my uncle is the youngest boy. And like early in my life, sorry, I might start crying.
Oh,
Early in my life, my uncle's twin, he passed away, and then 2019, my uncle was killed. So like, it's really just like the brother relationship is very strong in my family, and I love
yeah.
my brother, and it just made me think about like when he said I used to be a brother, I was like, damn.
Oh, yeah, that was. I was like, that was at like the very end of the movie when he's talking to his kids. Oh my
Mhm,
god, yo. So like, I have I got like a moderately sized family. I want to say, I have a sister. I have a younger sister and an older sister from a different mother,
mhm,
but my younger sister and I have the same parents, um, or both the same parents, excuse me. And then I got like an extended family and nieces and nephews and cousins and people all over the place. I don't like they're kind of spread all over, so we're not. I'm like we're close, but we're not like extra extra extra
mhm.
close. But I love my family. I try to see them as much as I can. Shout out to any of them who may or may not be listening. But like, yeah, no, just like having those like intimate familiar relationships. Like I feel like anybody can just relate to like they can relate to any not any aspect of the Von Elric story, but just like like imagine just yeah, like just like imagine losing your brother. Like I can't imagine losing either of my sisters. I can't imagine losing my cousin Jarrell. Shout out to Jarrell. I love you. I haven't seen him in years, but like we were like this growing
Mhm.
up. But like it's just that was just it was just one damn thing after another, and I felt so terrible. And just to have him be there with his 2 kids at the end, just like sitting and just saying like I used to be a brother, like it's soul crushing. Like like it's
Right.
like you could never hope to describe the pain of that sentence, like. And I can't even. I I really liked the movie. I want to watch it again because I feel like I might have been a little too caught up in like the story of the Von
Mhm.
Elrics to really like appreciate it as a movie. But like the performances were all great. It looked gorgeous. The dude who played Ric Flair was terrible. Completely sucked me out of the movie. I felt like he was so bad.
Yeah,
Like
I was gonna ask if you knew about it before. I didn't know. I'm not a huge wrestling. My cousins, my little cousins, because they dad, you really like wrestling. So like they still watch WWE. And like my cousin went to like one of the ones I was out here on his 16th birthday and had a belt and everything. It was crazy. But I know like new age wrestling, like Stone Cold Steve Austin and like The Undertaker, and so I don't know like the 80s stuff.
Yeah, no, me either. Not really. Like all the wrestling stuff I know from like I was into it when I was younger,
Mhm.
but a lot of my homies like from like college and high school, like they're all still follow it. They go to like the Monday Night Raws and like the
Mhm.
AEW shit. So like they're all like super tapped in. So like I just kind of absorb a lot of it through osmosis, but I didn't know much of anything about the Von Elrics. So, like I mean like, I knew who they were, but I didn't know anything about the story or all of them like dying the way they did, the family curse. So it was all new to me. I was kind of taking the information in as the movie, and then I went and like me, like if I watch something, especially if it's based on a real person, I go and do the deep dive after. Like I go read every article, every biography, everything. I find interviews. I find like I just go into dig mode. So like learning about them was just a lot, and it reminded me of there was this other joint from probably about a decade ago called The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. I think Darren Aronofsky. Did Darren Aronofsky make The Wrestler? I can't remember, but like it reminded me a lot of the Darren Aronofsky Wrestler movie, which I think his was also based on a real guy.
Hmm.
And just like he was kind of this like down on his luck, like local. He was kind of like a big dude, but then he started to go local. I'm probably butchering the story. It's been so long since I watched it, but like he has like a strained relationship with his daughter. He's getting older. His body's starting to break down. The
Hmm.
doctor is like, hey, like if you do any more like flying haymakers or give any more people's elbows, you're about to like die, type shit.
Damn.
So it reminded me a lot of that, but it was like a little more grounded. And I like yeah, it was Darren Aronofsky because he made it right after he made Black Swan, and I love Black
Mhm.
Swan. But yeah, no, I like the Iron Claw. Like I said, I want to watch it again just as like once again. I feel like I got really caught up in like the not to say that can like impact the way I watch a movie, but that one I could really feel. I was very emotional watching that movie.
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
really fucked me up. So
I don't think I'll ever be able to watch it. I want to
yeah,
watch it again. Like I wanted to refresh, but I didn't feel like it was bad. Like my reaction to it was so bad. I was like,
this shit
"Fuck."
is rough. Yeah. So before we move on, I can finally talk about this shit. I had the same reaction to I want to say like about 3 weeks ago at this point I saw the TV Glow. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard of
I've
if
heard
you've
of
heard of
it.
it.
I've been wanting to watch it. I just haven't been to the movies.
Yeah, I feel it. So, like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but long story short, for anybody who doesn't know, I saw the TV Glow is a movie about a little boy who gets obsessed with this like it's a show called The Pink Opaque. It's kind of like a combination of like Are You Afraid of the Dark, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like Tomorrow People, Gilmore Girls. It's like a big
Mhm.
composite. It's like a sci-fi fantasy show about these two girls who like fight this moon-faced man named Mr. Melancholy. It doesn't matter what the show's about. All that matters is that it's like he gets obsessed with it. He meets this older girl, and the two of them kind of bond over the show. And that's all I can really say without spoiling it. You should go in. Anybody who wants to watch it should go in cold.
Mhm.
Super crazy. It's a movie about like the nature of fandom and the nature of like body dysmorphia
Mhm.
and a lot of other things. It's you'll see. It's yeah. I want to say more about it, but I'm gonna wait for somebody who saw it because it's like you go watch it and you tell me how you feel. It's nuts. It's one of the coolest. Like that's a movie that like I want to watch it again, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle it. Like
Yeah, did it make you cry because of like a romantic standpoint from the movie? Or like
no. This is it's just like all I want to say about it. It's the type of movie where the main character, the protagonist in it, makes every single wrong choice they could make for their life,
Mm.
and then it ends with their life in this place where they're clearly just like, I hate this. This is not my life. This is not how I imagine. This isn't where I had imagined I'd be 20 years ago type shit. So like it's like frustrating and sad, but in like a it's good. I don't want to make it seem like it's not a good movie. It's great. It's just, it's not a happy movie.
Mhm.
You're not going to leave feeling good about yourself after. Like maybe in the sense that you saw something that you like that you fuck with, but like not you're not it's not a feel good movie of the year. Like you will come out depressed.
Mhm.
Like
Like, it
easy.
makes you question your life.
A little. Yeah, like at the very least, it's gonna make you appreciate whatever you have.
Mhm.
And just like if you're like it's the type of movie where if you go into it and you like want to do a thing that you haven't done, whether that be like, you know, I don't know, fucking like start a business or start a like, just like some if you have a life goal that you haven't achieved and you watch this, you're gonna be like, damn, I need to go achieve that life goal right now.
Mhm.
Like it's it's like motivational and depressing all at the same time. It's a weird feeling, but it's I haven't seen anything like it,
Mm.
and and yeah, I thought it was super dope. So yeah,
Sounds good. I'll check it out. I'll see if it's playing. I
yeah.
don't wanna go alone if it's gonna have me cry.
Yeah, like I saw it with two of my best friends, so I'm happy. Like that's one like if you watch it at home alone, it's whatever. But like
Mhm.
if you go to a theater, see that with at least a person. So like y'all because y'all are gonna talk about it after.
Mhm.
It was tight though. I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
So now let's take it all the way back with you. What's the first movie experience you can remember having ever? It could be at the theater, it could be at your cousin's house, wherever.
Yeah, I
First
was
thing that comes to
thinking
mind for you.
I thought about this question a lot too, but, um, it's either seeing, like, sorry, seeing movies like Friday After Next or, like, 13 Ghosts in preschool, like, when we had,
Uh-huh.
like, nap time.
Preschool? You watching
Yeah.
Friday After Next in preschool?
Yeah, I know, right? That's so crazy. Or it's being at my auntie house, like, she lived down the street from my granny, and my cousins, they were born in the '80s, like, the mid-'80s, so she had all the Disney princesses on VHS. It's like
Uh-huh.
all
Okay.
of those. That's a really sweet one. But yeah, I saw Friday Af I just remember it. I really don't know why. I don't know why. I was maybe thinking, like, it was nap time and I was up and they was watching it, or
Yeah.
maybe they put it on around Christmas for us and them.
That's great. Like I can't imagine showing anyone younger than like 6. And even that feels too young. Like I'm not showing a child Friday After Next. Like what
You know, it's funny, my little cousin, my oldest cousin's son, his favorite movie was Friday for, like, the first 10 years of his life. Like,
uh-huh.
he can quote it word for word, but a baby watching Friday is kinda crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, but I mean, I get that more than I get Friday After Next because like Friday is like it's R rated. It's
Mhm,
it's filthy, duh. But like I don't know, like that feels like such a slice of life. Like like I would show like when and if ever if I have a kid
mhm,
like that's a movie I'm gonna show them like once they hit like 8, 9, 10 years old, like
mhm,
I'm gonna show them Friday. Like that's the type of like this is what the world is like type of movie that like that's something that I don't know like that feels like a rite of passage. Like
mhm.
if like if you're black in America, you should watch Friday at least once. But like you're not gonna want to watch it just I don't know. It's one of I don't know a person who doesn't like Friday, but like Friday After Next is like that and Next Friday are so far removed from
Yeah,
what like just like in terms of quality, in terms of like the characters and like the scale of it, it's so far removed from the first Friday that it's like I love Friday After Next. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, but it's not touching Friday in any way, shape, or form. Like that's like one of the best movies ever made.
my favorite Friday is actually next Friday. I think it's
Okay,
hilarious.
no,
I
I
know
get
the
it.
introduction to Day Day as a character is very odd, now that I think about it.
A little,
They
yeah.
just kind of dropped out of nowhere. I mean, they mentioned Uncle Elroy in the first one, but aside
Right.
from that,
And then like on top of that, like they never mentioned Smokey again. Like,
right?
because yeah, they don't mention Smokey in next Friday, right? Because they definitely don't mention him in Friday after next.
Mhm.
Yeah, nah, because like, and I mean, like, I love Day Day, I love Mike Epps, like, especially in Friday After Next. I love the top flight security of the world, the security
Mhm.
guard thing of the donut shop, like, it's great. And then like, of course, I love what was the name of the record shop in Next Friday? Stickies, right?
Yeah, or it might have been Pinkies.
Pinkies, my fault. Yeah. Pinkies. So like, like, I love Pinkies. I love Clifton Powell and
Mhm.
everything he does. I mean, like, it's still a ton of fun. It's just like it's just not the first Friday. To me, the first Friday is just like I don't want to call it perfect because nothing's perfect, but like
But
that's such
damn
a
near.
it's just it's so good. I don't know, like like I feel like everyone knows a Stanley, everyone knows a Miss Parker, everyone knows John Witherspoon's. Like I never knew a dog catcher, but like I feel like I know
Somebody
that
who
John
acts like
Witherspoon,
a dog catcher.
right? Or just like that John Witherspoon character, like like I grew up with Debo's, like
Mhm.
I get it, like I get it. But yeah, like that movie just speaks to me a lot. But yeah, I mean, like, once again, I'm rambling at this point, but like they're all good, so like, I respect that. Next Friday is dope.
Yeah. I don't know. It is, like, not maybe the best, but it is the funniest to me. And also, I don't like, thinking about 90s Black movies, so much of them takes place on the West Coast. When you were saying that, I would made me think,
Yeah.
like, how was it watching those movies for y'all over there?
Oh, that's a good ass question. So like, I think about this a lot because I just rewatched Menace to Society for the first time
Mhm,
in a while because I got it on they put it out on Criterion, so I needed it. But like that's a movie, like I can only watch that so many times before like that movie just makes me so sad
mhm.
for obvious reasons. But that was the first. But Menace, the scene I always think of is when fucking MC8 and them pull up to the gas station and one of them's like, yo, who got snaps on the petrol? Like, do y'all actually say that out there?
Yeah, I would say in this house, after we all saw Minister Society, we did say, "You got 500 petrol."
That's hilarious to me because I mean, like, to answer your question, like, that, like, there were a lot of like there were a lot of touchstones for me, just like watching stuff like that. Like, it's not a movie specifically, but I always think about Ice Cube's It Was a Good Day and him talking
Mhm,
about going to Fat Burger. I had Fat Burger for the first time in 2018 when I came out there, and I thought it was pretty good. Not as good as I was expecting,
mhm.
but I
It's a
enjoyed it.
decent burger.
Yeah, definitely a decent burger. But like, I don't know, like, it did, like those movies and that music did kind of paint a scene for me that I kind of got to see a little bit up close while I was out there. But like stuff like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, fucking Poetic Justice, of
Mhm,
course. Like that was a big one for me growing up. You need to chill, son. Fucking yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. It did kind of flesh thing, and yeah, like, White Man Can't Jump took place out there too, right?
mhm,
Yeah, so like stuff like that was, like, it definitely painted a specific image in my head that it more or less met, you know. But like, I'm just speaking as somebody who I've only been to Cali once, and I came out there when I was already like grown.
mhm,
So like, it was cool to kind of see certain landmarks and like get certain jokes and like see certain things about it. But and then coming back home and like watching Friday and
mhm.
watching Menace again and watching Boys in the Hood again, just on some like random shit. Like, it was cool. Like, I would imagine it would be the same for like somebody from out there watching like Paid in Full or
Mhm.
like New Jack City or fucking there's so many King of New York, fucking I don't know. I could sit here and rattle off names all day. Where did Love and Basketball take place? Was that in Cali
That's
too?
also in LA.
God damn. Wow, y'all really do have a lot of shit
Everything
out
takes
there.
place in LA.
Wow.
This
Yeah.
world here. Except
That
for The
that
Matrix. The most recent Matrix was shot in San Francisco, and some other stuff, like Basic Instinct was shot in the city, or,
right.
like the birds, I think. But there's some other stuff. They usually do San Francisco, like Marin.
Got you. Okay. Okay. So now I'm interested. So like being from out there, like how does it feel seeing? Because I feel like New York and LA are like the two, like those are like the two centers of the universe, damn near. You know, like for like like every movie, everybody wants to either go to New York or go to LA. Like everybody like on each coast wants to like at least experience it at least once. So like like growing up watching like those types of movies and really just any like most movies in general are like taking place out there. Like what was it like seeing your area being depicted in all those different ways? Like do you have a favorite? Here's a better question. Do you have a favorite depiction of California in a movie?
Oh my goodness, Princess Diaries.
Oh wow.
Princess Diaries was shot in San Francisco,
Oh
and
right, I
one
forgot
of
it takes
my
place in
favorite movies ever. Me and my sister, because I have an older sister, my siblings are twins, they're 4 years older than me. But we used to sit there and watch it all the time. And my mom liked it when Houston produced it. And it's a really pretty movie. I feel like it depicts the city in a different way. Because a lot of times, especially now, more recent years, and with any major city, it's a lot of fear mongering that comes along with it. But I feel like that just puts a very pretty light on it.
Yeah, I'd agree because when it came out, I was a huge fan of the Princess Diaries, the Anne Hathaway movie, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
The
okay,
first one, only the first one.
okay, because for some reason
Oh,
you said
sorry.
no, you
I
go.
got another one too.
Yeah,
Sister
tell me.
Act 2, not the first
Okay,
one, Sister Act 2 as well. That took place more like downtown, like area-ish, not so
yeah,
much like in the avenues where Princess Diary was. But that's also a really good depiction because it shows more of a different lifestyle. Like Mia Thermopolis lived like a white artist lifestyle. She lived in
yeah,
a firehouse. But like Rita, Lauren Hill's character in Sister Act 2 lived like a more downtown lifestyle and a more black lifestyle. So like being at the corner store, having your mom yell out the window at you.
yeah.
Great movie. We loved it.
Man, yeah, I love Sister Act 2. I'm like mad that I haven't seen it enough because like I've talked to a bunch of people on the pod in these last like couple months have like mentioned Sister Act 2. I'm like, wow, like it's just cool that it's kind of been a thing. It's been in people's minds. Your relationship with that is like my relationship with the preacher's wife.
Mhm.
I love like I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form. I love the preacher's wife. I love the soundtrack. I love the story. I love the performances. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. That's that's like one of my favorite. Like it's like a super schmaltzy movie, but like it's one of my favorite. Like I'm gonna put that on and watch it every time. And like Whitney Houston did her thing. Like, oh God, what a movie! Like
I think
that's
I've only ever seen it once, honestly. And more recently too. But it's funny, like an angel coming down, like you fall in love with the angel to like
yeah.
show you what you've been missing on, I guess.
Like it's yeah, like it sounds dumb, but I don't know. Like they just get it. They just got it, and yeah, like there's like a whole other because I saw it for the first time in like 10 years.
Mhm,
This past holiday season, when my family wanted to watch it, and like there's like this whole side bit about like the church about to get bulldozed for this new one, and there's like a real estate broker played by one
mhm,
of the oh man, why can't I remember their names? They were the dancing, the tap dancing brothers.
mhm,
The Hines brothers. Yeah, one of the Hines brothers is the. I think it might be Gregory Hines. I think Gregory
mhm.
Hines is the real estate developer. I forgot about that whole subplot. The only thing I ever remember is the love triangle between Whitney Houston, the
Whitney
preacher, and
Giselle.
Denzel. You know, like. But it was fun rewatching that as an adult because like it I don't know. It just works for me. But but Princess Diaries is a movie I haven't watched in like I haven't watched it in years, but that was like the first time I ever saw Julie Andrews in a movie.
Mhm.
That or no, I lied. I saw her in Mary Poppins before that, but yeah, like I like that's very San Francisco to me with like the big ass incline on the hills and like all the houses on a slant
Yeah.
next to each other. Like that's what I think of when I think of San Francisco. So,
Yeah.
you know,
When I drive up hills, that always pops into my mind, even though we don't drive stick, but still, it
right.
gives me so much anxiety. Sometimes you gotta sit up to see up the hill.
Yeah, my sister used to live in Portland, and I went out there and rented a car for their wedding when they got married, and I was driving around, and yeah, just like the slanted hills out there really like you see it in movies and you see it around, but like it's another thing entirely to like experience it. And like that it's very it made me super anxious. I kind
Mhm.
of had to hold it together because I was driving people in the car, but like it was, in my head I'm like,
Yeah, I had
you know,
somebody ask me recently if, like, growing up out here, it was like, "You can't even play ball on your street." But I mean, like, you can. It really just depends if you catch it before it fall down the hill.
yeah, no, yeah, like you really will feel like it really does feel like you're about to like fall off the curvature of the earth type shit. It's such a bizarre feeling, but you get used to it, and then it's
Yeah,
or I imagine you get used to
I never thought about that. I feel like I don't even know how many hills I walked up my whole life, but it's been a bit. It's been a lot.
it. And one more thing about the Princess Diaries that I just remembered. There was the I forget who sang the song, but there was that Supergirl song on the soundtrack that
Mhm.
I loved. Who? It wasn't a Pink song. Who was it?
Let's look it up.
I, yeah, I don't remember. I'm like mad at myself.
Crystal
Uh,
Harris.
Crystal Harris. Yeah, nah, because we had the soundtrack, and I used to run that song up a lot, and it was great, and it just sounded great in the car. I don't know, like that was like Dad would throw that in the CD player, and we would just lose our minds. Good,
That's
good,
funny.
yeah, nah, good, good movie, good song. Um, so as you get a little older and you start developing your own tastes and having your own experiences, can you remember the first the first movie that really like caught you on more than just like an entertainment vibe, like something, like a capital M movie and like either a artistic, emotional, spiritual, like just something bigger than just like this is 90 minutes of entertainment and kept me distracted from the crumbling world around me.
Yeah. When you Crooklyn, Crooklyn's the first one
Hmm.
that comes to mind for real. Oh, and like looking at it now when I watch it as an adult, I feel like I saw it when I was like 8. So I saw it
Uh,
pretty young. I used to watch like a lot of like 70s sitcoms like Good Times and The Jeffersons and
right.
90s too. Like We Are Martin family, but we watched a lot of old stuff. So I saw it when I was pretty young. But seeing it then, I think it's really just kind of seeing like a little girl who looked like me on TV and
Yeah.
being like, "Oh wow, I can identify this story." But like now looking at it, it's like we don't have a lot of stories about we don't have a lot of coming of age stories about Black girls.
Yeah, not
And
really. And
that's where I saw myself, and I still see myself. I can still quote it. I still send people stuff. I had a Pomeranian like they did in the movie. So
yeah. Yeah, man. Crooklyn's a really interesting spot in Spike Lee's filmography. It's one of the movies I've seen the least, but I always did really appreciate that aspect of it. And like, and yeah, now I gotta ask, since like that's very much a movie like about Brooklyn. Like, how did it feel watching? How did it feel watching that? Not having been around here like that.
it really didn't feel any different for real. I didn't think about that. Like that's where it took place. Of course, it's in the name, but like as an 8-year-old, you're not like
Right.
cognizant of what's happening. And I always thought it was interesting that people like drove to the South, like sent their kids away for the summer. I always
Hmm.
asked my parents why they never did that with us. And my mom was like, why would I do that? Y'all are my kids. So yeah, that's interesting. Now now thinking about it, it doesn't really feel much different than like what my childhood was like growing up, like being on the block and like having friends on the block and playing with your cousins and playing with
Hmm.
neighborhood kids. Seems like every adolescent childhood experience in the States is pretty similar,
Yeah.
whether or not.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Like obviously like your mileage will vary depending on like your location and like how much money you got. But like there's like general things that are like pretty, you know, that are like pretty standard, like everything you just said is pretty standard. Like I can pull memories of everything
Mhm.
you just said.
And there are some things that are very much of the time, like when she went to the store and she was stealing,
Yeah.
and like the the store worker hit her, like he like whooped her a little bit,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, that's crazy. That would never
That
fly.
that would not fly now, and like it honestly shouldn't have flew then. Period. Like you're not like yeah, I'm not a corporal punishment person, and my parents didn't really put their hands on me, but like I would but like if somebody else were to put like if somebody else who wasn't my parents put their hands on me,
Hmm.
it'd be a wrap. Like they would never hear they would never hear the end of it. I don't
Right.
know, but like but yeah, no, Crooklyn's a weird one because I just had Cavalier on a while ago, and like he's from that area, and we talked about like the apartment. They shot that on location, like in a real person's apartment, and it's like it's a bed and breakfast now, or not even a
Oh
bed and
wow.
breakfast. It's an Airbnb now, because
Wow.
before it was a bed and breakfast, and now it's an Airbnb. And like obviously it costs a lot of money. I'm sure I haven't looked up the listing, but like I'm sure they're like, yeah, Crooklyn was shot here. Yo, my fault. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to shout out the all new Real Notes Patreon page real quick. If you're looking for ways to connect and directly support the podcast, the Real Notes Patreon is the best way to do so. For as little as $5 a month, you can gain early day before access to every forthcoming episode of Real Notes, as well as an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, where you can talk to others about the latest and greatest in movies and music, come through for some listening sessions, and talk about whatever else is on your mind. I know I'm gonna be talking a bunch. If you feel like coming up off a little bit more, you could get cool exclusive content like audio from Real Notes Live and Real Talk interviews. Those will be exclusive to patrons and ticket holders moving forward. Access to retro versions of my 60-second Minute Maid movie reviews, and even a monthly writing and podcasting workshop hosted by me. Regular episodes will still be available on a weekly basis anywhere you get your podcasts, but if you want the extras, you gotta come out them pockets a bit. Check us out at patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES. I appreciate your consideration and support more than you know. Now let's get back to talking. Like
Yeah,
in the
like
same
stills of the movie.
right, yeah, not like in the same way that I know the apartment that Biggie grew up in on St. James Place in Brooklyn. I think it sells like I think it's worth like a couple $1,000,000 or some
Oh wow.
bullshit now, which is crazy. Like considering how like St. James was not a nice area when he was coming up, and it's not still not the greatest now, but they gentrified the shit out of it, and
Hmm.
it's like it's Biggie's house, like it's just, like they treat it like it's Graceland, and you know,
Weird.
yeah, yeah, weird's definitely the word. Um, but but I want to focus more on the Black girl aspect of that because I think that's really important. And like now that I think about it, there really aren't very many
It's
like
like
coming of age.
Pariah, and it's like
Right.
Girlhood. I think that's, or it's like this like French one. I don't know if it's called Girlhood, but yeah.
There was this other one that I could think of. It's way older. It's called Beast of the Southern Wild.
Hmm. Oh, I
Um
actually flew in yesterday, and I think she was on my flight.
oh word. Crazy. Kavanza Hane Wallace, I think her name
Mhm.
is. Yeah, man, I haven't because she was in that and then that Annie movie, and then
Mhm.
we haven't heard anything from her since, and I feel bad because Beast of the Southern Wild is a crazy movie
Yeah,
that
I've
I
never
think.
seen it. I was just thinking about it. I was like, that was kind of the start of like the artsy Black people movies that
Oh
white people
yeah,
really love.
yeah.
And yeah, I haven't seen it. Never seen it.
It's worth it. Like I saw it when it first came out, and I haven't
Mhm.
seen it since, so I don't know if it like holds up. But I really enjoyed it for what it was worth. But
Mhm.
like, do you have any other favorites like of just movies about like Black girl coming of age? Like, were there any others that really stuck out to you?
Shit.
I know the pickings are kind of slim, but
I know.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so. Pariah was really good, and I like how she got to see herself come into like this, come out and like become this fully formed version of herself. But I don't know. Nothing that like, I don't know. I can't really think of any.
no, that's fair. I also really love Pariah. I think Dee Rees is super dope. I love her. I love her style. I love the way Pariah looks.
Mhm.
Like I mean, like on top of the fact that it's like a really well articulated and just like nuanced portrayal of black queer womanhood. Like it just looks gorgeous. Like the lighting is the thing I always notice when I go back and watch it now. Like in the same way that I did when like Insecure was a thing.
Mhm.
Like I always loved like the cinematography and the lighting of Insecure because they actually know how to like properly light black bodies. And you could
Right.
tell that when they made Pariah, they knew how to properly light black bodies. And it's just a gorgeous movie to look at. Um, but yeah, Pariah is it can also be very sad, but like that's like
Mhm.
a Pariah. Pariah also took place in New York, right?
It's a very New York movie.
Yeah. You know, I was gonna say like just like from the just like from the way that she dressed and the way her friend dressed, and yeah, no, it's just I don't know. That's a special one to me. I like especially at that time, like movies like that weren't really being made like for black women or for queer people, whoever, you know, like that was such a like I remember watching the trailer and being like, I've never seen anything like this before. Like
Mhm.
I must have been in like middle school or high school. I can't remember the year it came out, but yeah, that's a really powerful movie and one that I really appreciate. Like it was an anomaly at its time, and I wouldn't say it's an anomaly now, but like it's like there aren't as many there aren't as many examples
Mhm.
of that as I would like to see, and as I'm sure you would like to see.
Right.
So but yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. That sucks.
Um, like I guarantee you, one of us is gonna think of at least one other movie before this is over and be like,
Right.
yeah. But but before we do that, let me move on to music. So when did music become capital M music for you? Like when did that? Yeah, like when did it become a thing that really just kind of captured your fascination on some shit?
I feel like I've always really liked it because I used to dance a lot growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can't really dance without music. So I used to watch I used to watch 106 Park Saturday mornings when they do the Friday reruns.
Uh-huh.
That was my thing, and I learned the dances from that when I was, like, in preschool and so on until the show ended, and, but capital M music, like, something that, like, is for me, I would say middle school was, like, really the turning point because I have older siblings, but my brother really liked, like, Mike Jones. It's, like, kinda like commercial music to say the least, and my sister really loves R&B. We stood in line for Keisha Cole to sign her CD one year on Thanksgiving, and it was raining, it was a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, she really loves that stuff. But like in that, like finding my way through that for both from both of them. Middle school, I was in middle school in like 2010. So at that time, Wayne was still like doing like the second half of the mixtapes, Post No Ceilings,
Right,
and
right.
like Young Money was really becoming a thing. Drake just came out, Nicki Minaj just came out. It was like
Yep,
that
yep.
was like, wow, this is something to pay attention to. And then later in middle school, I was on Tumblr a lot.
Oh,
So that's how I found out about Joey Badass and like the underachievers
yeah.
and Flatbush Zombies and so on and so forth. So yeah, and then from there, social media helped me find like music from other places like Chicago, like Vine. On Vine, DC was really big. Like the DMV area was really big on Vine. So that's how I
Yep,
found out
yep,
about
yep,
like Glizzy and like how to do the scramble coke and scrap that dance.
yep. Wow, I haven't heard that in years. That's crazy.
And then yeah, then blog era, a lot of California music, a lot of Dom Kennedy.
Yep.
Overdose was huge in my head. Um, yeah, like I Am Soon, like a lot of that shit was happening simultaneously.
Right. Yeah, yeah, just like y'all really had shit on lock for a long time. Like between Dom Kennedy and then like YG blows,
Mhm.
like yeah, no, like my crazy life did hit pretty crazy over here. Like people,
Even before that, like mixtape YG, like Just Read Up 1 and 2.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I love those. Those are really we listened to those a lot in high school.
Yeah, no, I bet I wasn't super tapped in with YG like that. Like and I'm gonna commit a cardinal sin and talk shit about Dom Kennedy. The only Dom Kennedy project I like is From the West Side Would Love to. It's the
Yeah.
only one that I've enjoyed front to
He
back.
get like he gets mixed reviews. But you know it's really funny? People have mixed reviews about Dom Kennedy, but a lot of people really love Larry June. That's something that
Yeah,
always
and
oh, that put me on my head.
and that's me. So it doesn't make sense because like they're so similar. I don't
They're
know.
from the same
Like
cloth.
yeah, they really are, and like I get it. I see the relation, but like I'll put it like this. I remember when I heard Smoke DZA and Pete Rock put an album out called Don't Smoke Rock. It's great.
Mhm.
He's on it. It's him, him and Big Crit are on a song.
Mhm.
I hear Dom Kennedy's verse and I'm like, this is terrible. Like it
Yeah.
just doesn't. I don't know
Maybe
why
it's the
it
way he talks. It's like maybe his voice is deeper, so it's like a little bit more drawn out than like what Larry June said, because Larry June say like really fast and quick, even though his voice is very monotone.
see. I have a homegirl who's from Jersey like me, and she's really into Dom Kennedy. And I've seen her talk about him. Shout out to Jan. Shout out to Tatiana. Um, fucking, I've seen her talk about him. I know a lot of other people. Like I wanna try again. Like it's something that like it sits in my head a lot because I do love Larry June.
Mhm.
I love like I just love the Bay Area period. Like the Bay Area is like like music wise, like y'all have been going crazy forever. And like I just love the ethos of the Bay Area, just the whole like get it out the trunk, like have like your 10,000 fans who will keep you fed for the rest of your life, or
Mhm.
maybe you'll be like E40 and just like become a fucking icon. I have E40's cookbook that him and Snoop put out last year.
That's so
Like I
crazy.
that shit is crazy, right? Like he
Especially because he gets like mixed reviews as a rapper. That's my dad's favorite rapper. So that's one of the people I've heard my whole life. Tell Me When to Go came out when I was in elementary school.
yo, tell me when
So
to go tell me when to go came out. I think I might have been in high school. Yeah, I might have just started high school when that came out. That album, My Ghetto Report Card, was one of my favorite albums when it first came. Like I loved like everybody I knew was trying to ghost ride the whip. Like I knew two people who like did it. Like it was like I don't know, man. I've always loved 40 Water. I think he's great. Like like from the early stuff, but like My Ghetto Report Card was like
that
that
was
was
a
my
turning
main.
point though. That was a turning point in like America. And also I watched the Boondocks a lot. So
Yeah.
and thinking about how they play like rappers in there is very much of the time, like the episode when Riley get his chain and he has to ghost right the whip, but like you can hear like the music in the back is like boom, 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 boom. It's like very bass heavy.
Yeah.
And it's very much reminiscent of the hyphy movement, to me at least. I was
Right.
too
Yeah.
young to
No.
be outside though.
Right. But I mean, like you didn't really need to be like that's just like like that'd be like me having like a frame of reference for like 50 Cent during like the Get
Mhm,
Rich or Die Trying era because that came out when I was 03. I must have been like 11 when
mhm.
that came out, but like like or no, was it 03? Yeah, it
It
was
was.
03. It was 03. So yeah, like I was 11. I was in like elementary school, but like that album was everywhere,
Mhm.
like and then of course G Unit blows after that, and that's when I wanted like I think I had a G Unit puffer. Like I saw the movie when it came out. Like I was a huge 50 Cent fan. So like, but like I wasn't outside. I was a kid. But like,
Right.
it's just you absorb all of that through osmosis. And you just can't help it. So there were two other things I wanted to touch on based on what you said. I love Overdose. I'm very sad Overdose never blew.
Yeah.
Like I've always heard stories about like how they would be out there and just like the thing I forget who mentioned it. I think like Ninth Wonder mentioned it in like some video. Yeah, because he did a piece on he did like some lecture and somebody asked him about his relationship with Lil B at the time, and he was
Mhm,
talking about how like oh like all the gangster rappers would be like at a Pat Div show or like at an Overdose show, and like there's like a lot of intermingling between the different types of rappers at shows out
mhm.
there, and that was always really fascinating to me because especially earlier on, that was not the case out here.
Yeah.
Like the crowds are way more segregated out
A
here
lot of
in
the hood
in, in,
niggas
in
are
that sense.
weirdos at heart. But not like not
Telling you,
derogatory, not weirdos derogatory. I
yeah,
mean like you like art and stuff.
yeah, because weirdo means something different. I try to explain that to people who've never been to California who don't take that shit serious.
No, like
Like
yeah,
call
like somebody called me weird recently and I was like, what you mean I'm weird? But they would just mean like you being silly. I'm like, oh,
yeah, nah, because
who
like
weird?
Yeah, no, like that's like somebody getting called like a bozo out here. Like if you get called like that or some shit, like it's like, what do you mean? You know, like people, I don't know. It's people don't get it. We just talked about the music, all that fun stuff. When did writing first come into your life, and when did you
Um,
know you wanted to cover all of this stuff?
yeah, I was in high school. I graduated high school in 2016, so I feel like that was like the real turn of like media consumption. It was
Mm-hmm.
a lot less print. It was a lot less everything like went to YouTube, Twitter, or their own publications or own blogs. I mean, post blog era, but like
Right,
you
right,
know.
right, right.
So yeah, I was in high school and people. Well, I saw. Hate to say it, but I was like watching No Jumper a lot. But that was like the only place that people was like given access to. So we like got interviews with Cardi and got interviews like Divine Council at the time.
Right. Yeah, you gotta get it where you can get it. I
Right.
understand.
Right. But I was like Fader and Complex were like my Bibles in high school. I was thinking about
Hmm.
this question last night. But yeah, I started paying attention to a lot more writers like Jinx and everybody at Complex and like
Yeah.
people like Malcolm who runs Black's Rule magazine. Um yeah, so it just kind of made me interested in it. And then I was writing on the high school newspaper, wrote some stories about like equity. Sorry, I'm picking it up. It was like the
No,
cover
you're
I worked on. And I went to a
oh, crazy.
school, so like being black there is kind of hard. I don't
I can
know how
imagine.
it is now, but it definitely was then. So yeah, and then
So,
in started
I'm
my
sorry.
own. Sorry, in college, that's when I started my blog.
Got you. So when you started writing around the time you were doing stuff for Lowell, like what did you write, and how do you, I mean, like looking back on it now, like I mean, like we all, like all creatives have that point where they go back and look at like some of their first stuff, and like how does it feel looking back on all that stuff now?
Yeah, the first piece I actually wrote was like a opinion piece about why I wanted to go to HBCU. I didn't end
Yeah.
up going because I couldn't afford it, but yeah, and
Yeah,
like
I
that, it was interesting. My auntie has it framed at her house. It was like they had like a photo shoot set up and everything. They people no, I was part of a different photo shoot, but like I was like looking up like and they had like the pendants
yep.
above me. So yeah, that was cool. I haven't read it since. I don't even have it. My auntie got it. But this
That's
story was
hilarious.
interesting because it's like more like investigative reporting.
Right. And do you prefer I mean, like clearly you prefer more like open-ended stuff. So like I mean, like I feel like most people start out doing that. Like yeah, because I mean, like when I first started writing professionally, like I did the same thing. Like I was into criticism, I wrote criticism and did a whole bunch of that stuff in high school on my own. And then I started writing for my college's paper. And when I got my first professional like job, it was a paid internship
Mhm.
over at Interactive One. The first thing I did, I was working at News One at the time. I put their daily newsletter together where
Oh,
they
wow.
would just like they would just like aggregate stuff from like AP and shit. So I would just so like I would just kind of do that,
Mhm.
and then I eventually was like, I want to do media stuff. Like
Yeah.
I want to do like the music and the movies, and so like obviously I started moving in that direction. So like most writers are gonna start off like doing stuff that's not necessarily like, even if they take it upon themselves to like show like this is what I want to do, like you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get
Yeah.
that.
In college, I decided I didn't want to write news because of
Right.
it's hard. And like one thing they say, if it bleeds, it leads. And it's like
Uh-huh.
I'm using people's lives to like talk about and then see it happen to like my family and like having like to be like the I said I would be like the point of contact if people needed something. But
Right.
it just felt weird. So I was like, I'm actually just going to stick to like arts and culture. And it's been cool. You can't get paid in it though.
Yeah, you gotta really like, in order to get paid in it, you really gotta be like a hustler. You gotta have like 5 or 6 gigs lined up, or be lucky enough to be in a position where you get like either like a monthly stipend, like I have at Pitchfork, or like where you just get like a staff position. Like it's there's ways, but it's harder than it should be.
Mhm.
Everybody should be getting paid way more than they already are. I want to say that right now. But once you got to college, Talk to me about starting your blog and what you were writing about, and like how, just like what it felt like to be in that position where you saw like the jinxes and like everybody else just kind of like taking it upon yourself, because that's no easy task
Yeah.
regardless of how old you are, like how many resources you got. So
Yeah, I just started doing it. It really, I don't know. The first piece I ever put on my blog, I talked about the pack and like how much they
I
meant to
was
me, because like that
I
was
was
like
gonna bring that piece up. That piece is great.
thank you. Yeah, that was the first piece ever. I'm like, I don't even know. I had my friends and shit reading it, and I sat on it for like months. I finished it in the summer of 2016. I didn't put it out till November.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was nervous. Yeah, I just felt like there was a hole missing. There was something missing, like covering like local artistry.
Right.
I started just talking about it with myself, but I also ended up just like talking about people that I liked. Like I talked about Lucky. I wrote a piece about Lucky. I wrote a piece about Key, and then after that, I started doing like interviews with local people.
Yeah.
Um, family friend, his name is Ray. He was putting on events at the time, and he had one called Hella Hyphy Fest.
Right.
So yeah, that was the first interview I did, and then that's how I kind of came up with the half profile, half Q&A style I'd be writing in sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like it's like it's special to be able to start out like that and like develop your own style. So like just real quick before we move on to Lucky Seven, talk to me a bit about the pack piece and like why that, like why you felt, I mean, like as somebody from Cali, like obviously like the pack, Lil B, like, you know, Vans on and they look like sneakers, like that's y'all shit. So like talk to me about like why that piece was so special to you, why you wanted that to start your thing off.
Yeah, I've thought about nostalgia a lot, and since my siblings are 4 years older than me, I was just kind of like the tag along. So
Yeah.
when I would go to parties and stuff, I would just be there sitting there, and that was like the soundtrack for a lot of the things that I would hear growing up. So like they would like download the mixtapes and stuff. So that's how my favorite Pack song is Candy, and it shouldn't have been when I was 7, but it is was. But yeah, it's kind of just stemming from what my siblings would listen to. Like they listen to a lot of everything for the most part. Like my brother, I talked to my brother last time, and like how he really liked Mike Jones and like the Ying Yang Twins and stuff. But I
Yep,
just
yep, yep.
like boy hip hop. And my sister liked R&B, but like at a certain point, like those things, like they like the same things at some point. So like they listen to a lot of Gucci, a lot of Webby, a lot of Boosie, and then
Yeah.
like a lot of the local music, like the Pack or like the mob music that was happening at the time.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, you know, obviously as you get older, you start to develop your own taste and, you know, like things start to go off. And I imagine that I mean, like you said, they were listening to the pack at the time, but but you know, like the pack was kind of for people like, you know, like clearly like your siblings are older than you know, like by I don't know by how much, but like, you know, like I feel like the pack is like that was around college time for me. Or right? What, damn. I'm already blanking on this. Um what when did when did you write that piece?
When did I write that piece? I wrote that piece in 2016.
Okay, so that wasn't college for me. I was 2 years out of college at that point. So like
Yeah.
I wasn't
But it
so like I
the song
wasn't.
came out in '06. So
What happened?
the song came out in '06.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Yeah, I just remembered Lil B came to play at my college.
Oh wow.
Um, because every year we had this big fest, or not big, but like we had a festival called Culture Shock, and they would always they kind of prided themselves on being ahead of the curve when it came to like artists who were about to pop. Like this past year, they had Cash Cobain play,
Mhm.
and they had Doom play in '06, I think, maybe like before I got there, or else I would have seen it. um but uh but yeah, so yeah, like that was, but like point being, like that feels like a thing that was like, this is mine,
Mhm.
you know, like in the sense of like this is kind of something that like I didn't necessarily get from my older siblings, and like I found this on my own and, you know, like wrote about it, so like that's always special,
Yeah.
you know.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, like that's how, that's like, like looking back on everything, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of like the early stuff that I was writing about too, because you know, like you write like, I mean, like not I'm like I don't know if I'm speaking for just me, but like when you start writing earlier, like there's like people, like you can tell who your influences are
Mhm.
super early on, and eventually you start to like whittle it down and get your own idiosyncrasies and become your own person. And it's just like I felt that way when I wrote a piece on Rat King when they broke up. Like I
Mhm.
published the piece like the day after the announcement, and like that was one of the first times where I was like, this is something that I found on my own and I love, and it's mine. you
Yeah.
know like, not to say that I didn't have music like that already, but that was the first piece I wrote where it was like, this is me, and I'm not just kind of like clamping onto something older,
Mhm.
just to like impress whoever.
Mhm.
Like this is me. Like this is stuff that I like, that I'm genuinely into. Not to say that I wasn't genuinely into the other stuff, but yeah. But yeah, so like all of this happens and you're at school, and eventually at some point you decide you want to take this from a blog to a magazine, and Lucky Seven happens.
Yeah.
So talk to me about where the idea, before we even get to like making the magazine, because there's a whole process there. Like what was, like where did the initial idea of like, I want to do a magazine come from?
Yeah, well, I was still in high school when I had the idea, and I was Complex had just stopped doing their covers. They started doing like
Right.
online only covers, and like Fader was the only people who was like still doing covers. I mean, Double XL had them, but like Double XL was
Right.
like different, and Vibe don't really do covers no more. Essence is
Right.
coming today. So yeah, I was like, oh, I want to make magazines. Didn't know how to do anything. Didn't even know how to write. Didn't even know how to make a lead for real. I just like this is what I know I want to do. And then I went to college for journalism, had my blog, still doing all that stuff at the same time. Like a weirdo. But I finished school in 2020 in December 2020. So like I finally had free time to be like, oh my goodness, I don't have nothing to do. So I was like, let me finally try and do the print. And by March of 2021, well, by January 2021, I had the first cover story. Oh gosh. Would You See Black? It's a local band. They make this song called Fucking Me Too. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's made up of all these independent like, individual artists and they come together to make something fun. And yeah. And then in this issue, I also wrote a story about mental health, like getting over seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I have a profile with another local artist. Her name is Sig the Creative. But yeah, this just all stemmed from me being in high school and being like, oh, I want to do something. Didn't know this would turn into this. I mean, I did. I like begged for this, y'all. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but didn't know this would turn into something that people not care about, but like have interest in.
Right. And yeah, I mean, like like it's not to say you had like no experience either, because like at this point, like you had written for like KQED and even had a thing in OK Player.
No, I
You were
wrote
like upload.
I worked for QED in the midst of making this, like right after I made
Oh,
OK Player happened like 2022. So this was like my first like
wow. Okay. That's even crazier. Wow. So, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I'm even more curious now. Like what, like what, just like walk me through the process of putting an issue or rather walk me through the process of putting the first issue of Lucky Seven together.
yeah. So Chris, co-writer Chris of Juicy Black, he actually reached out to me and was like, oh, would you want to do an interview with us? And I was like, oh, I actually want you on to cover my magazine. So that worked out perfectly. I sat in this corner on the floor. I didn't have a desk yet. I sat on the floor and did the interview. And yeah, everybody, they were all sitting in the room together with masks on. And then I wrote the seasonal affective disorder and I talked to a couple artists, Nia Sinclair from New York, but she lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and Isri Lampo from Philly, I think. And just talking about how artists are getting over their seasonal depression because it was like January or February when I started it. And by March, I had the third interview with Sid the Creative. But I was like stressing out because I wasn't finished with it at the time. I wanted it to be done in March, but it wasn't done until like July of 2021. So yeah, I put all those stories together. I wrote all the stories.
Thank you.
I wrote all the stories, and I did all the designing too. I do all the reporting, writing, designing. I do everything but the photos.
Man.
Yeah, and Yeah, this was like my first everything. I took a one design class in college, and I was like, okay, I know how to use InDesign. Fucking know how to use InDesign. But yeah, from there, this was made. The color palettes are all very similar to like the color palettes that they use on their artwork. So it's kind of like plummy and beige,
Right.
white. And also in my college class with design, we had to make, well, I had to, it was extra credit if you made like a magazine cover. So I
Yeah.
made some from the blog interviews. I interviewed Mavi February 2020,
Yeah.
but right before the pandemic. And yeah, I don't really know. What else you want to know?
I want to know. I want to know how long it took to put the whole magazine together.
Yeah, they take different times now.
Yeah.
But this took from January to July to like have it finished and printed. That's like 5 months. And then from I started the second issue in June and I finished it by December. So like 6 months for that one.
Okay.
And then the third and fourth issues took full years because it's hard.
I want to know more about the later issues, especially considering like all the people you've had on the covers and all the pieces you've written. But I'm actually really curious about artist outreach too, because you were already talking about like you like you would like the artists you wanted to interview were already they were looking to be interviewed by you and you wanted them on the cover anyway, so it turned out perfect. But you're also talking about like talking to you're talking about Mavi already for like your first issue. So like what like outside of the first interview you did, what was artist outreach like? Did you just like reach out to managers or like hit them direct and were like, hey, I want to talk to you for my magazine? Like, was it difficult? Like, how did that go?
I mean, it changes sometimes. I think I was trying to think about how I reached out to Mavi. I think I might have DM'd him on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
It was tweet tweet, so it was like post. It was right after Let the Sun Talk came out, and
Right.
like right before Edge of the Earth. So it was like pretty. I don't even know. I don't even remember. I might have emailed him.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I get it because like at that point he was kind of running dolo anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, because I interviewed him around the same time, and I had actually met him. We or no, I think I knew Pink Sifu at
Mhm,
the time, and he told me to like look out for Mavi. And then they played a show in Brooklyn. It was Sifu, Anakin, Fly Anakin, Maxo, and I think DJ Jada Lorraine
mhm.
and Mavi and all of them were just there. And like Mavi and I met in person and talked for a second, and then Let the Sun Talk happen. And I was like, I need to talk to this kid. And then anyway, but like but yeah, I mean, like I'm just always interested in like artist outreach for people who aren't like a publication,
Mhm.
because like it can be like speaking from experience, it can be kind of make or break, and it can be a little annoying sometimes, but it but like getting everybody you wanted to get for the first issue seemed to have worked out pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
I know. Like I'm mutuals with half the people in there, so it kind of
right,
just happened serendipitously. The second issue is a little different though.
all
Uh,
right,
if you want to get into that, but
please, yeah, yeah, yeah,
has Overcast and Demacia on it, and
uh-huh,
I first off I emailed them, and I don't know if they saw the emails. I'm like, I'm going to DM them. So I sent both of them the same DM, changed their name and everything. I don't think they had a manager at the time either. So yeah, that's how that worked. They said yeah, just from happenstance. And like everybody else, this issue was based on community. Sorry, the first issue's theme was introduction, kind of, because it's
yep,
everybody's introduction to like me, my introduction, everybody's introduction. This one was
right,
community. It happened in summer of 2021, and I think like coming off the pandemic, that's what I was trying to do. But yeah, in this issue, I have an interview with a Black horror artist. Her name's Nadira, and then I have a profile of this group at the time. It's like a record group, not record group, like DJ group. There we go. Collective. There we go. Sheesh Records. They had a store in Daly City at like the bottom of the hill.
yeah.
It's something else now. And then I also have a little story with Z Culture because I was listening to the song. I just went over this issue in my radio show, which is funny. And then after that story, it is the cover story.
Yeah,
And then after the cover story, I profiled La Russell, Vallejo rapper La Russell.
Yeah.
And he went viral during the pandemic for the boxes with Good Company. That's like his collective that he has in Vallejo.
Right.
I just feel like that would fit really well. And then the last story, this is not the finished one, but in the last story, I wrote a story on women DJs and how they're cultivating community in like their different cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of this happened just me DMing or emailing. People didn't start reaching out to me for interviews until very recently.
And yeah, that's a different feeling, you know? Like when like yeah, I just it's really like it's really cool to me that you just kind of like took it upon yourself and we're just like, hey, I'm gonna just start reaching out to people, and like if people hit me back, then like we make it work. And like to get DiMaggio and Overcast on as like cover story artists, like at that point, because like I think I mean, like they both had pretty decent profiles by that point. I think they've grown pretty, especially Cass, like significantly since then. But like even then, it's like Cass was already kind of like he was already kind of like a cult icon. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not exactly like I think you caught him at a really great time, because like now like Reset happened and he got the Drake placement. So like
Mm-hmm.
people are like, obviously his profile is way up here,
Right.
but like it's always more special to get that like right before, and like to just do that. And I do I'm happy we went there, because there are a couple other things I wanted to touch on. A couple other like stories from issues. The first one that came to mind for me was Carrie Foe,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been a Carrie Foe fan for years, like since like I remember when No Small Talk came out. Like
Right.
that was that was college for me. No Small Talk was like either like the end of college, or like I think that was like 2014. I'm pretty sure. So like I was like about to be out of college. So yeah, like the Carrie Foe. So yes, So like talk to me about working with Carrie Foe and like what it was like putting that story together.
Okay, so the reason why this issue is a double cover is because I was scared I was not going to get the navy blue cover.
Right.
I had missed the interview because I thought they meant the week after. They meant that it's just so much. So I was like, I don't know what I would do. I need another cover. And I reached out because I knew she was coming out with the album. My friend Clifford in Houston, he knows her. They're friends.
Tight.
And yeah, he gave me her contact. And I was like, I got this magazine. Would she like to be part of it? Let me know. And it was like, oh my goodness, yeah. So that's kind of how that happens. It's more simple than more
Right, but
simple than the Navy blue one.
yeah, like that's just tight, because I feel like Real Bitches Don't Die was a really big deal for her. Like I love that album, like around that time I also managed to get a hold of her team and get her for the pod, and that was amazing, like she was just. But I worked on a thing with her for Rap Portraits.
Mhm,
When they did her episode, I did the interview in New York because Yo couldn't be there, because he was in Atlanta.
mhm.
But but wow, I didn't just okay. But yeah, yeah, no, they I'm Holland, and then we're like, do you want to do the interview? And I was like, yeah. So it was so like we had already known each other from that, but
Mhm.
like I reached out just on some like, do you want to come do my thing maybe? And they were like, yeah, sure. Like it was cool to see you get that, and like the photos all look amazing. Who's like, I assume you have different photographers for every
Yeah,
person. Like yeah.
sometimes the pictures get taken. Sometimes the pictures get sent to me, like with the Carrie Photo pictures specifically. It was by photographer Andrew Cuseda.
Yep.
And yeah, they all look really nice. They're
Yep.
great.
They came out amazing. Yeah. Like I love the cover photo you chose, the one of her. It looks like she's like kind of like eating the phone or whatever she's
Yeah,
holding.
it was like we won't cover.
Right. It's not a phone. It's like what's that, like a peach or
But
orange or something? Yeah.
it's a beach.
Yeah, like I love that image. Super dope. It's like it exemplifies her so crazy. But I mean, like now that we're here, like let's talk about the inverse. Talk to me about the navy blue shit. How did
I'm
that
gonna
happen?
use smarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so Tori and Savannah at Def Jam, they had reached out to me and was like, "You
Shout out
like
to
this
Tori and
song?"
Savannah. They're amazing, by the
Yeah,
way.
shout out to Tori and Savannah, and congratulations, Savannah.
Yeah, for real. She had a baby, for those who don't know. Congrats.
But they was like, "You want to put Max on your cover?" And I was like, "Duh." And yeah, Maxwell was coming out here with Mavi, but I reached out to them and be like, oh, is this something that we can still do? But I think at the time Maxwell had just left. So it was like, I don't know, we'll let you know. And I was like, oh my goodness, I cried about it and everything. Like the magazines are my baby. So like anything that happens to them immediately happens to me.
Yeah.
But then they doubled back and was like, do you like Navy Blue? You want him on the cover? I'm like, that's not even the question. So it was like, okay, these are the dates he's available. It was Friday, April 28th and Friday, May 5th. So I was like, okay, Friday works for me. But I didn't know they meant because it was that week.
Right.
I was like, that Friday works for me. So I
Right.
didn't know they
Right.
meant
Right.
the 28th. I meant the 5th. They meant the 28th. Missed it. I was getting ready for my internship. I was in the car, like talking about who I want on the like who I'm having on the magazine. I was like, I can't wait to tell y'all. My goodness, it's gonna be so crazy. And I missed the whole interview. So I got to my internship and I was like, oh my goodness, they like emailed me. It's like, are you coming in? We're waiting for you. I'm like, fuck. I'm so goofy for that. So I missed it. And it was like, okay, we'll let you know. Sometimes they never let you know. And
Yeah.
it's not their fault. They just never let you know.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
yeah, I was like, oh, man, fuck. I gotta make this happen. So I was like, okay, I know they ending the tour here. I'm gonna buy a ticket. I'm gonna email them, see if I can get the interview. They was like, we'll let you know again. But me and Kelly, who's also an issue for,
Shout out to Kelly. Yep.
yeah,
That's the homie.
she we follow each other on Instagram. I was like, I know the show's in San Francisco. I'm gonna bring y'all flowers. What flowers y'all like? So they told me what flowers they like. I'm at the show in line. I got there a little bit early. I'm in line. Oh, I see DeMaje walk past. I'm like, I'm trying to get Sage in the magazine, please. He was like, okay, I'm gonna help you. So he helped me. But I gave them the flowers at the end of the show. And we walk outside, Sage smoking a cigarette he got from somebody in the crowd. I talked about it in the profile actually. Like it's his dad and
Mhm.
his son. They came from like Washington or Oregon, and they just was signing, having him sign everything. It was like sign pass, sign pass. I was like, fuck. So we was outside on mission in DeBose where the brick and mortar is, at like 1 in the morning. So I'm like, fuck. Then Elijah like he gonna text me. He didn't text me till like 2. So I got back home. I'm waiting. Finally get a text. I tell my mom I gotta go. She about to get out the bed and come with me. And then I'm like, okay, Dad, I gotta go. He like, ain't nothing open at this time but legs. I'm like, bro, come on. So get downtown to Overcast and DeMaje studio downtown Oakland. And yeah, we sit there for 45 minutes and talk. It's not, they were supposed to record. They couldn't even
Right.
record because I was in there.
Damn.
But yeah, it all worked out. It was a wild goose chase to figure out how to get it. But
Hey,
sometimes it's just like that.
yeah, no, you got to, yeah, like especially like, I appreciate you owning the fact that like, hey, I messed up the first time, I mixed the dates up, but like you made it happen, and like they saw something in that. Like obviously, like DiMaggio had already done the thing for you, so like you kind of had ins, and like you had Kelly too, so like, but yeah, but just like to see it happen that way was just yeah, like, and yeah, like once again, like the cover looks great, the photos look amazing. I love that detail about the father and son, because like because you sent me the issue and I read it obviously, and it was just like that made me really happy to see. And not to constantly be doing this tit for tat shit, but like I did when I had when I had Sage on the pod, I had a similar story, funny enough, actually. So like I reviewed Song of Sage for Pitchfork.
Mhm.
It was my first best new music that I ever gave a project that I had to like kind of fight for. And I went to, so there's this like festival show thing they have out here called it's a Top Shelf Premium Supply and Demand. They
Mhm.
have they have it every summer. And I was out there with some homies just kind of kicking it. My homie Fatboy Sharif, my homie Robert Williams, we were just kind of mobbing out there, just seeing what was up. Kelly was there too. And we're all just kicking it. And Sage comes over and starts introducing himself to people, and we start, and like he knows Roper because like Roper has produced for him a bunch, and like we're talking. And then Sage looks at me. He comes over and daps me. He's like, "Nice to meet you." He looks at me. He's like, "You wrote the Pitchfork review, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "That was incredible. Like, I felt so seen. Like, thank you so much. Da 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 da. Like all this other shit." And like, it was like, I was like, "No problem. Like, I've been a fan. Like, I'm happy to make that happen." He's like, "I'm happy. Like, I appreciate the best new music." I was like, "I had to fight for it. Da 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 da." So I'm talking to Sharif. And the whole time, like Sharif is meeting me, talking to people. I met a bunch of people that day for the first time. I think I met YL that day for the first time. I met a bunch of people that day for the first time. So like, like I'm seeing Sharif do the same, and I'm just like, bro, you're about to make a whole album off all these guests that you're
Right.
meeting today. And then he told me like, nigga, you about to have a whole season of this podcast, right? I was like, yeah, So like he was just like, you should go ask him to be on the pod. I was like, I don't know. Like, I just met him. I don't want to be that guy, And Sharif's like, nah, you better just do that shit. So, like, he's talking to Akai. Akai Solo's out there. And, like, so, like, like, Sage comes up to everybody and says bye. And then I'm like, Sage, can I talk to you real quick? He's like, yeah, sure. Come over. I'm just like, so I have this podcast. It's called Real Notes. I give him the whole spiel. And I'm like, would you want to come on? And he just looks at me for about 2 seconds. He looks at me for like what felt like 20 seconds. It might have been like 5. But he just kind of looked at me and he just goes, hell yeah, son, take my number. Da, 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 da. And then, that was it. But like over a couple of months, because like he travels a lot. So we were moving a bunch. But like eventually it did happen. And that's still to this day one of my favorite episodes. That interview was so beautiful. Yeah, it was he's such a gracious subject, and like he's the nicest dude he's the nicest and goofiest dude on planet Earth. So
Yeah.
like he's such a goofball. And it's so funny because we talk about that a lot, just like the sense that I'm sure y'all, or I'm sure, like I think y'all talked about it too, like the fact that like he's, his music can be very serious, but like he's anything but, like
Yeah, like the
he's such a
duality, like what this scene brings versus like what people are actually listening to. Like there was that night, there was like screaming ski the whole night.
like yeah, that's such a Sage thing to do. It's so funny to me. But like, yeah, no, it's like, and it makes me happy to see that he kind of did that for you. I mean, he's done big, like obviously, like he's like worked for
Yeah,
Supreme and
before
all.
this, the Rolling Stone came out. I'm like, what? How the fuck am I gonna follow that up?
Right. Yeah. No, shout out to Andre too, because Andre did a great job of that interview. But like it makes me really happy that he goes out of his way to talk to smaller people. He goes out of his way to talk to like you and me and like a bunch. He's done some interviews at places that I would never expect to get somebody that big that early. So like, just like shout out to him and his team for like wanting to really tap in with people like at the grassroots level. So that was just cool to see. I just love that. And like getting it in the mail, when I opened it, I was like, holding it, I was like, this is special, So. And then in that same issue, you wrote a piece about Gangsta Boo, who had just passed away, that really touched me because I love Gangsta Boo, been a fan of hers for years, and it messed me up because when I heard Real Bitches Don't Die for the first time, there were no guests on the stream I had, so I heard her verse and it just hit me in the heart
Yeah,
immediately. I was like she had just died. Maybe
right.
it had been maybe like a day or something like that, or maybe not a day, but the wound was still fresh, and like it really touched me to see you write about her. So I just wanted to touch on that one real quick, and yeah, so talk to me about the Gangsta Boo piece because it's a great one.
Yeah, it would like for this issue, it would have been my goal to like speak to her in the chat because
Of
they
course.
played such a big part of like what I was listening to, like in going through college, and like also just like play a big part of what we hear today when it comes to what the girls are saying, and the fact that she she passed before like I was able to like even be like, oh my goodness, I love you so much, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very sad. I remember that day very vividly. I was in Houston when that happened. It's just like,
Damn.
what, bro? But yeah, to be able to put that in and then like put the Carrie story right after it, depending on which cover you got. But I think it's the same in each. But
Yeah. The one I have, I thought it was both covers on both sides. I don't have it with me, so I can't check, but I could have maybe not. I'll double check when I go home
it
because I
really
got
just
it. I got
depends on what story you want in the middle. But they're the same. The stories are the same in each issue. But yeah, to
Of course. Yeah.
put that story before the Carrie story, like, and they had such a close relationship. That was that was very intentional on my behalf.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, no, like that was like a very like divine timing. Like, of course, like why wouldn't you do that if you had the opportunity? Yeah, because I did a list for Pitchfork about like best Southern rap songs of the '90s because they were doing like a '90s package, and of course, like Where Them Dollars At was on the list. So like I think the list might have gone out just before she passed, like a week
Oh,
before she
wow.
passed. So like once again, like it was like I heard the song, I did the list, and I'm just like, I'm a wreck. You know,
Yeah,
like I don't normally get hit too hard by many artist deaths, but like that one was like, damn, like what do you mean she's gone? So so yeah, it was just cool to see you, not even just to see the piece in there, but to like have that, like, you know, like Carrie and Gangsta Boo in there together in some way was, that was special. And then on top of that, I think the last I'd like to touch on is this mic tour piece that you just did for the Somebody Find Me Trouble tour.
yeah,
That isn't in a magazine yet, but like it's, you know, like because like the tour just happened.
yeah.
But yeah, like talk to me, because of course this isn't the first time you've talked to him. I think he's been in an issue with a magazine before, right?
No, I wanted him on the cover, but when
Okay.
I was trying to get it happen, they was like, "We're not doing press right now."
Yeah, I
You
get it.
always
Yeah,
say
no.
that.
Yeah, love to Navin and them. I get
Yes,
it, but yeah,
thank you to them in because, bro, I was like, please not get on the story in the magazine. But I was like, well, I'm about to be. Well, the first time I met Mike, interviewed him was November of last year,
yeah.
and I just came from Camp Florida. Now I was like, well, I'm about to be in Houston. I see you going to Houston. So I was like, can this happen there? And the Ben was like, I think I wore him down. Honestly, I think I wore him down. And he was like, yeah, come on. So we was at the Warehouse Live because it was not the House of Blues. We was at
Yeah,
Warehouse Live in Houston. They let us in early, spoke to him after sound check, and yeah, kind of just talked about that one was a lot about burning desire and like also like this transition into in his career where he's like not making as much sad music to where he's making
right.
like more upbeat music and talking a little bit less about his depression, just more about his life experiences. So that was fun. That night I met Earl too, and we talked a bit about like California music. If he ever does a West Coast BEP, that's my doing. But you know how rappers be. They be like, I don't make
Yeah.
one song, I don't make one kind of music. But I think it'll be
Yeah,
fun.
right. And then yeah, like 2 3 years later, it's like, oh, you're doing that, you know, like you can just be in your head, like, yeah, that was me, yeah.
I didn't give myself too much credit. But
Yeah, of
then
course, no, no.
caught up with them in San Francisco, him and Ayante, to talk about not only Burning Desire, but also Pinball, which was
Yeah.
like a big release this year. Like I feel like it opened a lot of different people to who Mike is, and like what the
Oh,
music
for
like,
sure.
and then like also him and Tay, like their relationship that they have,
Yeah.
how kind of like I should have gotten into like how they like how the music feeds off each other, but I interviewed them at two different times. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like yeah, like it was just cool to see that because yeah, like I mean, like we all know, like Mike's at a different point now, you know, like he's kind of like in that middle section where like he's not exactly underground and unknown anymore. He has like 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify or some crazy
Right.
shit like that. But like he's not Earl. You know, like he's kind of like in that middle ground, which I think is a cool spot to be in. You know, like of course, the next Young World's about to happen in a month over here, which like anybody listening, I'm obviously going to be there. Slide, say hey. But like, you know, it's really interesting that he's at this point now. And, you know, like, of course, 10K is starting to expand, like with Tay, and Sideshow just put out a great project. Anicia put out a great project. Jadesy put out a great project. Like they just got nothing but heaters right now. And, you know, I think they got the hot hand and they did it in a way that benefits their whole little collective, and they put on for so many people. And I don't know, like it was cool to kind of see you do that, like on that, because like that tour felt special too. Like I was at the New York show, like that was like homecoming vibes for
I know.
real.
I really wanted this interview to be out before the closing show at Webster Hall, but it was just like a week later. I feel like I
Yeah.
messed up.
But either way, you know, like the piece came out, it turned out dope. I think you know, like you said, I think you really honed in on what you wanted to hone in on. And like I said, I think this is a special time to be like reporting on Mike and 10K, and you know, like just everybody like in like the scene is kind of like amorphous, and like especially out here, you know, like everyone's connected by, everyone's only like 2 degrees of separation apart.
Right.
out here in particular. So like it was like I also remember when Sam Hyland put out his piece on 10K on
Mhm.
his site, and
Yeah.
like how
Sam's that's crazy. He's crazy for
yeah,
that. It's so good.
yeah, like that was
That shit made me want to quit.
for me too. Like I was just like, like, and like he's still in school. Like I wasn't writing like that when I was in college.
Right.
Like I think I'm pretty good now, but like he was
Yeah.
that I was like that should be in like a magazine. Like that should have been like a GQ piece, or maybe not a GQ piece, but like maybe like that should have been like a Fader piece or something
Mhm.
crazy. I was like I was like scared. I was like I was like, can I do this anymore? Like but but I say all that to say that, like, it was really cool to see you also kind of take, you took that upon yourself to like make it happen and like be tenacious and like not give up on it, and like you made it happen. Like, and like that's how a lot of the stuff happens most of the time. Like you got to really, like going back to the whole, like the whole like it's a money thing, but like, you got to really want to do this stuff.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
gotta like you gotta show them that you're into it, and like prove it to yourself that like, are you willing, like are you willing to stay up late? You willing to be at a studio at 2 o'clock in the morning? Are you willing to send email after email, text message after text message? Sometimes, like obviously you don't want to get too like there's like there's a line between being proactive and being annoying
Mhm.
and other stuff. But like you made it happen, and you can say like I made this happen for my publication.
Yeah.
Like like you're not you're not doing this for the fader. You're not doing this for Complex. You're doing this for you, and like that's even more fulfilling. You know?
Sometimes it's hard to look at it like that though, because it'd be like,
Yeah,
I want these big bylines, I want these big names. But like,
yeah,
I don't know. This probably means more than that. It might not seem like it sometimes, but I guess it
yeah.
does.
Yeah, like yeah, like I agree. Like this is hard work, and like people don't get paid enough for it, and it can feel really dehumanizing sometimes when you just like don't know, like when you're just caught in limbo,
Mhm.
in a lot of respects, whether that's payment or edits or whatever. It's just like, like you just gotta like charge it to the game or whatever. But it's just this is difficult sometimes, but the payoff is usually worth it. Like especially if it's something that you can hold on your own and be like, this is mine. Like I
Mhm.
did this, like like I put this together, and like even if you're not making all the money off of it, like that's gonna live past you.
Yeah.
Like
Believe
that's gonna like that'll be here, that'll be here after you go, whenever that is, like in the same way that this will be here whenever somebody goes, and or whenever I go. So it's a like it's a I can't imagine how tough it must be to act, because like looking at what I've done, I started this when I was already pretty deep into a writing career, so I
Mhm.
had access that other people might not have. Like I was hitting people out of the blue, but I also like those first 5 episodes, I knew all those people.
Mm.
So like they were just kind enough to come do it. But like you starting out, and like like having to like really put in some real work to like get, like even just the local acts, like the fact that you like had that focus on local acts, and like that helps you stand apart. And then of course, like as you start to gain more of a rep, then it gets, bigger and bigger every time. And like you built that from scratch on your own, and that's incredibly impressive. Like there's like it's like regardless of how people may feel about whatever the content is, like you did that, and like you can't deny that you did that yourself, and that's nuts. Like that's
Thank you.
like yeah, like saying that like as someone who's obviously a fan of your writing, like it's impressive that you managed to make this much of an impression by yourself so far. Like that's like that's don't ever forget that. Like
I'm gonna
you did
cry.
that shit. Like you know. Mm. Yeah, like yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. That's
Well,
just
thank you.
great.
Yeah, like when you had mentioned me on a Dash interview, I was like,
Yeah.
bro, I literally cried. I screamed and I cried. And it's like, I guess this is doing something. I guess these
Yeah.
things are working.
Yeah, I mean, like it's and once again, like it's physical, like you have a thing you can hold in your hand. And that's like, like as much as I love the internet, like it's like it's different to be able to, like, this is my shit. Like it's and I don't know. It's just been really cool to see that, like grow and develop as it has. And like I'm sure at this point you're already working on a next issue. Are you working on a next issue?
Trying to. I've got a couple interviews finished.
Cool.
Um, how should I say it?
You don't have to.
I don't know. I say the
If
one
if
finished.
if you want. If
I'll say the one that I finished. I only finished one so far because I've been doing a lot of stuff for the blog and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, the blog has been busy this year. I put up a piece on Sexy Red. I put out an
Yep.
interview with Roof. I put out an interview with so I'm losing it. I'm sorry. Let me look.
No, it's cool. The Maroof one was dope, by the way.
Thank you.
I haven't seen the Sexy Red piece yet, but I saw the Maroof one and it was great.
It was like the return of the hoochie. I was working on that for a long time too.
Right.
Oh gosh, I profile Rochelle Jordan, and that
Oh.
was like big. My cousin, he saw me. He was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you did that. I loved her." Like, yeah. And then after that one, and then it was the Mike one. So yeah, I'm still working on interviews and stuff for the magazine and for the blog. I just interviewed 1100 himself. He's an East Oakland rapper.
Crazy.
So
Yeah, I know who he is.
I gotta write it. And yeah, BX Rod. She's a singer from Vallejo. So I gotta write that one too. And I feel like I have to do something else, but I'll worry about that when I get there.
Yeah.
For the magazine, I finished a profile with Coffee Black and Ziggy Waters, talked about Dune.
Fire.
So yeah, that's gonna be in print. The next, issue 4 is the overarching theme. It's 2 different volumes in each issue 4. I was gonna try and do more, but it's just me. I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
So the first half of issue 4 focused on hip hop, which was pretty serendipitous because the last year was the 50th anniversary. There was a lot of talks about that. And then this issue, this volume of issue 4 is going to be centering like not hip hop, but like R&B and like pop and these other things that all encompass it. So like in the first half of issue 4, I profiled High Tech too.
Yeah.
And that was like right before their Carhartt event in LA. So one thing I wish I talked about more was like the blending of hip hop and like techno, but I think I was nervous that day. I was scared. I was in LA by myself.
Yeah. That's okay. You're never going to be able to ask every question. There's
Right.
always, like, yeah, I get that. Also, shout out to High Tech. Their album's amazing. I really hope it gets put back on DSP soon. I know they had a thing with
Yeah.
they had a thing with their label head who turned out to be a creep. So I hope, I just love that album. I'm like mad I can't listen to it right now.
I know.
But
I put it on when I was putting it on when I wanted to feel like I'm doing something fast. And
right.
then it's like that video. He not even moving fast. He's just moving his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. But yeah, I don't know. What am I working on? I don't
That's
know.
a that's amazing though. Like, I mean, like that's a decent amount to be working on. And once again, you're bringing it back to like, you're bringing it back to like Cali, like Vallejo artists, and just like, I don't know, like keeping it local. Like keeping it local is the coolest thing you could do, just
Yeah, I'm
because
trying
like,
to keep the issues more localized too, like with who I
yeah.
want to cover. But sometimes it's hard.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
you want. So Golden, if you're listening to this, I would love to put you in a magazine. I already told him this. We went to high school together, which is funny. But yeah, I already told him that. You just
that's
gotta
tight. Yeah, and yeah, like just like having that mix is like the thing that's super cool. Like that's what I try to do here. I try to have it be a mix of like local people who might not necessarily get like a shot somewhere else, and then every once in a while you get somebody big and it's cool. But like that's what that's the important part of like documenting all this stuff.
Mhm.
Like it's like you're gonna want to like look, like your stuff's gonna be stuff that people are gonna be looking back on in years and being like, oh, this interview, like that piece, like that. And it's like those are like artifacts, and that's
Mhm.
important. But to kind of bring this, or to ask my last question before we bring this to a close, like we've been taking shots at it for the last like 40-ish minutes, but like journalism's been falling apart for a long time. Publications are shuttering. People aren't getting paid what they need to be getting paid. But like, there's been a handful of writers and creatives like you who've, taken initiative, kept it alive on your own terms. And, like, as dire as things can feel sometimes, like, I was saying this off camera, we are at a point where, like, there is going to be a resurrection of some kind. We don't know what shape it's going to take. It could take a lot of different forms. Seeing so many worker owned pubs
Mhm.
popping up has been super amazing. Just like people, like stuff like over here, like we got like Defector and Hellgate. Like those are all like worker owned publications that aren't music based, but like just like the idea of having an organization that's like owned by the people who run it
Mhm.
is like, that's important. And like we need more of that stuff for music. But you know I'm rambling right now. I bring all that up to say, like, as somebody who's taken the initiative to form their own publication, to like go out at 2 a.m. and be in studios with people to like make sure an interview happens. Like, what are your thoughts? Well, not even so much what are your thoughts on the state of modern journalism, because we've already talked about that. But like, where do you see things going in the future? And what advice do you have for people even younger than you who may or may not still want to do this? Because people are going to want to do this no matter what,
Right.
like whatever form it takes. Like, there's 80 million different ways to cover culture these days. But like, what advice do you have for people? Yeah. So yeah, two-part question.
Where do I see journalism going in the future?
Yeah. Or where do
Uh,
you, like, where do you see like anything that we're doing? we we can forget that question if you want. Like, if you don't have an
that's
answer, that's
okay.
fine.
I feel like it's going in the direction of streamers. We already see like people, internet personalities being able to speak to people more than people who might have like really poignant questions and thought-provoking questions.
Yeah,
And there's no shade to them. That's what's gonna get their people the most eyes, and that's gonna get what's gonna get them,
yeah,
that's what they want. They want people to sell the album. That's what's gonna
right,
help sell the album, or at least sell their artist in some sort of way. But
right, yeah,
more journalists will turn into content creation. I've been told to like, oh, people in the street interviews, do that, or like set up your phone, do a video interview. Like, and
right.
I'm not opposed to it. I already got to do so much.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, bro. It's like, yeah, like, I'm not Kai Cenat, I'm not Aiden Ross. I don't
Right.
want to, and like, I don't want to be
Stream from
them. What
here.
happened?
I don't want to stream from here.
Like, yeah, no, it's like, I mean, like, I'm not opposed to streaming either. Like, at some point I do want to like set up a streaming thing just to like do movie stuff or whatever. But I don't know. Like, this is just like, not everybody wants to do man on the street stuff. Not everybody's built for that. Like,
Yeah,
that's like a whole other skill set, like, but I don't know. Like, there's so many different ways to do it. Not to cut you off, because I think
yeah,
you
yeah.
had more to say, but yeah.
Yeah, there are so many different ways to do it. And I also think that there's like value in like being able to use your words well.
Mhm.
And that's something that I've been like trying to figure out how to do. Like thesaurus.com is always
Yeah.
open. And I'm like, how do I say this differently? What do I say? But yeah, I think that there's some art in it. Like there's some art in being able to speak well. Even
Yeah.
though I feel like I don't speak well, but use your words well. And like that's people I want people to read. I be
Yeah.
reading. Like, it's not gonna kill you to read. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't want to read, but like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's yeah, and you're like, I think that speaking well thing it's relative, obviously, because like, there's like I think there's a difference, or like, being able to use your words well is a thing that's really important. Like, it's a skill,
yeah,
like being able to like communicate somebody's story, or to be able to communicate an opinion or a point of view or a perspective or something, is like, that's a skill, and like, not everybody has that skill. And I think like, it's I just like, what am I trying to say here? I'm having trouble right now. I know, like, yeah, no, like, speaking well is relative. Like, I never want it to come down, because like, whenever I think about that, I always just think about like, you ever you ever have somebody tell you that you're like very eloquent before. Yeah, like articulate, eloquent, like those words kind of sting because
Yeah,
like
I don't mean it in that way. I just
yeah,
mean
yeah,
in
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
using your words, like being like being mindful of how you use your words, like what you want to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I'm a nigga. Like I feel like I don't speak well, but like when I do like use my words in correct ways, it comes out well. Like it comes out nicely.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. You know, I think that's more important than that's the most important part. You know, just
Mhm.
like being able to like it's always been about like how you use your words because like there are people who like you know like there are people I know who use like extremely complicated complex language and it just sounds like they're just like spitting a dictionary at you and then
Yeah.
there's people who just speak like real plainly and it's like you got it, you know, like I like message received, you know. So you know, it's just about like finding that middle ground and like speaking. But yeah, like I knew you didn't mean it the other way. I just think about that a lot, you know,
Mhm.
like you know, like as black writers, like you can't not think about that stuff because like
Yeah.
I'm sure
How they
we've
gonna
all been
do this? What are they gonna
yeah.
think about me? What when they see me, they gonna think I wrote this?
Yeah, and it's happened before. You know, like I'm sure it's happened for you. I know it's happened for me, but like you know, it's and you know, like as a woman, as a femme, like it's even more difficult. You know, like that's something that always needs to be acknowledged, especially in this space.
Mhm.
You know, so like it's rough out here, but like having your own perspective and having your own place to write your thing is super dope. So
Thank
you
you.
know, yeah,
And as for advice, I would say I would say do it if you really want to. If this
you
is
know.
something that you like can't not think about, definitely do it. But definitely don't do it all alone. Don't do everything all alone because I get sent like other people magazines. I got sent this magazine from the UK. I met this guy off TikTok. His name is Niall, Nail. It's a culture crip, and it's like so nice
Ooh,
seeing that shit. And I'd be like, oh my goodness, I can't do
ooh,
this.
wow, that looks
Like
crazy.
you definitely need some people on a team if you want. You go further with more people. You go
Absolutely,
fast
yeah.
alone, but you go far with more. So take that as you may. I don't know
Oof.
where I don't know if I'm going fast or far right now. But yeah, those
You've
are
I
that's
no,
my big
sorry, what were you saying?
that's my big advice.
That's that's great advice. You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, like you've definitely gone far as it is, but yeah, you know, like that's like that's great advice. Like you don't have to do everything alone. You know, like that's everybody keep that in mind. I got to keep that in mind sometimes. I take pride in doing a lot of this, but like there's so many people who help me bring
Mhm.
you know, like you know, like I've like I didn't do the art, I didn't do the music. Like whenever I do marketing stuff for the live events, like I get help with that. My partner helps me with that. Like, you know, like like I do a decent amount of it alone, but like if you want it to expand, there has to be more than just you. You know, like that's just nobody can do everything alone.
Yeah, I learned that the
So
hard way because I really want to do an event, but I don't know how to do an event like by myself.
yeah.
So I need some people with me.
But that's the next step, you know? Like that's that yeah, like that's the next step. But man, wow, I can't believe we're already at the end. But Nia, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
It would be about the youngest daughter who tries to not break free, but like tries to do something different than what she's seeing. I feel like as a youngest, you always like get lost in like the shadows of your siblings or your parents or your cousins. And I got like 17. My granny got 17 grandkids, so it's a lot of us. So yeah, it's hard to like make something for yourself, especially like in I'm from San Francisco. I have the last name Coats. Not many people in San Francisco have the last name Coats. So if you know somebody, it might be related to me. But
Right.
yeah, it's hard to break free from that. And I feel like I'm trying to. And I feel like I'll do it more once I get out of this place. But that comes with time.
Yeah, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, all that stuff. And you know, like you're yeah, like once again, like you're well on your way, you know, like you have more right now than I did when I was how old are you again? Remind me?
26. I'm
Yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah. you're not old. I'm 32. Don't even trip. Like, but yeah, no, like you know, you got more going on than, like, at least when it comes to like what you're doing yourself, than I had when I was 26. So that's like, but yeah, like thank you for this.
Thank you. Because I was like, I want to do one of these so bad. And I was like, I don't know if he gonna want me to do it. So I was like, like the DM was like, I hope this is not thirsty.
Nah. Like, yeah, no, like I wouldn't have shouted you out if I didn't think you were doing something really cool. And, you know, just like, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for putting the work in to like make Lucky Seven happen. You know, like that, it's like, you know, like I've never done a magazine before, but I know people who have, and I've seen things like I have like a very outside looking in perspective on like the creation of something physical. So I have an idea of how hard it can be, but like, it's tough. So especially if you're doing it all on your own. So like, thank you for putting in that work, and just like, you know, like your enthusiasm, and just like being somebody who's, you know, like growing into becoming like a steward of this shit that we all love. You know, like it's that's not to be taken, like, you know, like trust on that level is not to be taken lightly at all. You know, so like, you know, it's like, thank you for being confident enough to just do it. You know.
Oh, thank you for the kind words.
Yeah. Nah, man, it's yeah, like, yeah, like we're all we got out here. So, you know, we're just trying to uplift and just make the dream happen. So just like don't like, whatever shape this takes, please don't stop. Like, I know you've heard that before, but please don't stop.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll try not
this
to.
is yeah. Please don't. Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the Black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.